When you visit a casino, do you care if the establishment is registered by the right regulator? Ever wondered what processes these entities ought to follow to validly and legitimately operate? Stay with us as we discuss casinos within the context of their establishment regulations. My name is Noella Seidu, and you just joined Law Express. Don't go away.
Owusu Ampiao is a private legal practitioner who enjoys movies, reading, and soccer in his spare time. Kwabna Frimpong Mensah is a private legal practitioner who enjoys reading and watching football in his downtime. Noella Seidu. She's a private legal practitioner and a consistent member of our 3-lawyer panel on the show every week. She also doubles as the host of the show. She likes to play tennis and read.
Concerning our discussion on casinos, the Gaming Act 2006, Act 721, prescribes the matter and the means for which a casino can operate within Ghana.
Yeah.
The first is to have a license provided by the Gaming Commission and approved by the Board of the Gaming Commission before it can commence. Before a person can apply for such a license, it has to be a body corporate. When we say a body corporate, it has to be a limited liability company. The Act is very specific on that. The next is to have satisfied this minimum capital requirement, which is at the discretion of the board. So the board will determine how much you must have in capital and in cash before you can establish your casino. It must also have a definite office, where office here would mean a building where you would have your machines and your licensed machines and all other requirements to operate your casino. The next important one is your ownership, your directorship. It must be people who are qualified under the company law to be a director of such a company. The Act is also specific on its ownership. It should be either partially or wholly Ghanaian owned. So the impression here is that foreigners cannot own casinos within the country. You must either have some Ghanaian participation or it should be all Ghanaian participation at all. So the misconception that all casinos are owned by foreigners is one that at least we have the opportunity to clear now, because the Act is specific on who can own a casino. Great. Once you have satisfied these conditions, the Commission will give you a license, and the license will allow you to operate as a casino within the country. Okay. And you have to renew this license yearly. There's a fee for the licensing, which is normally 2% of the capital minimum requirements. So once you've satisfied that and you've met all of these conditions, you'll be allowed to operate your casino.
Great. So now you have set up your casino. You're required to operate as a club with membership. Now, which could be temporary or permanent membership. So that once again should be sent to the gaming board for approval. Who are the people not eligible for membership of a club in the context of a casino?
Okay, so in the context of a casino, the law has decided that certain persons cannot be part of the membership of a casino. This includes a member of the Armed Forces of Ghana. This includes a member of the judiciary or somebody acting in a judicial capacity. This includes a child. And the law here, the definition for a child goes along with that of the Constitution. A child will be a person below 18 years of age. Then members of the public services, and also members who are part of the service that has a regional or has a district assembly
Great.
can also not be part.
Let's explain
of the
this.
club.
It's a lot of categories. Yeah. For child, we know a child is a child. Person under 18 years, you already said that out. Yeah. Person acting in a judicial capacity.
So in this instance, when you're acting in a judicial capacity, you're not just talking about judges. They're the primary focus of it. But you're looking at people who head quasi-judicial bodies. Like somebody who works at Shraj. Somebody who sits maybe at the National Labour Commission because he exercises some judicial capacity in determining labour disputes. Somebody who sits on maybe an interparliamentary
committee
of such or commission
inquiry, yeah.
or interministerial one. Somebody who acts or exercises any judicial discretion, you are automatically barred from being a member of a casino.
Great. Armed forces at all levels.
Yes.
So once you're in the military,
Army,
you can be a member of the
Air Force, Navy. You cannot be a member of a casino
then
club.
the public service.
Yes.
Yes.
It doesn't also discriminate.
Doesn't
the
also
levels.
discriminate.
Not at
Yes.
all.
So if you look at the Constitution, I think Article 199, it lists the public services in Ghana, the audit service, judicial service, customs service, a host of them. Now, the law even goes on to say under the Constitution that any other public services that will be established by Parliament, which means the list of the Ghanaian workforce that cannot be part of a casino membership.
Which also suggests that you could today be a member and tomorrow you are barred from
Yes.
Yes.
membership. So assuming you are a lawyer, you are allowed to be a club member.
Yes, you
But
are.
the very day you are sworn in as a judge,
Your membership should be expunged. And where you continue to exercise this membership of your casino, and the casino fails to expunge you, the casino is liable, is on conviction, who have been deemed to have committed a crime, will be liable to pay a fine of up to 1,000 penalty units or serve the onus, in this case, serve a
let me
TM
play the
punishment.
devil's advocate. The law says that permanent and temporary membership,
Yes.
subject to the approval of the gaming board.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, what if I fall within these categories and I say I'm not a member, I'm just a guest of a member of the casino? So, in the strict interpretation of the law, I'm not trying to join in, I'm just visiting.
Well, in that regard, then
And
you should
then
be
you
seen,
become a frequent visitor.
you should be seen to be visiting, not involving yourself in any game, even providing advice.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you
would
have
be
a
an
guest,
Yes,
is the
yes.
guest not allowed to try his hands on a thing or two?
So if we're going by that same gambit, let's say I'm a member. Membership connotes some duty, some obligations.
Yes.
Maybe I even have to pay some fee for being a member of the
Yes,
casino
to
club.
maintain
to
that
maintain my
membership,
membership.
yeah.
Every month I'm supposed to pay maybe, let's say, 200 cedis
Yeah.
to maintain my membership. Now my job description has changed. I'm now either in the public service, now the judiciary, the armed forces, even the police.
Yes.
I have joined one of those services. And so what happens? How do I determine, or how do you determine if I'm still a member? The Act provides that the gaming board has access to all your records and your accounts. In their records and in their accounts, am I still paying my membership fee? Not just visiting.
Yeah.
Because the Act did not say you cannot visit, or this you should
That's
visit.
exactly what, because
It
if
says
the
you
idea
cannot
is
be
to
a
stop
member.
them from participating, but they can still visit, then where are the lines?
Lines being drawn. What is my membership? So am I still playing the part that makes me a member? Then that's problematic.
That gives you some rights.
That gives me some rights in the
Yeah.
casino. But if I am I'm not paying my membership dues. In fact, my visits are even infrequent. Am I still a member of the club? It's still some gray area.
Yeah, I mean, probably it's never come up yet because people prefer to err on the side of caution.
Yes.
Like, I'm not allowed to be a member, so I don't want to
Even
be
go
involved.
there.
Unless for a particular duty. For instance, the police has to go there to investigate
Yes.
an offense or arrest somebody or to keep the peace.
In
At
such
that
a-
point, it's in line of their duty and not because they are participating as members with benefits.
Well, I also checked in line of other jurisdictions, and I realized that in jurisdictions like Singapore, for instance, even if you belong to members who are barred from joining, persons who are barred from joining a casino, you are supposed to let the authorities know anytime you even visit a casino.
Okay.
So I believe the spirit under the law there is
I'm
to
sure
make
they
sure.
saw this mischief,
Yes.
the loophole,
Yes.
and decided because you need to justify the visit
Yes.
for them to be clear that you're not going there pretending to be a visitor,
Visitor.
but I mean enjoying all the machines and the games more than everybody else there. Can we now briefly look at the powers of the board in relation to casinos? We already talked about the fact that
Yes.
they regulate the space.
Yes. So the gaming board in this instance has various powers under them. One is to inspect, like you rightly said, the books, the accounts, the records of the casino as to how it's operating. Another is with respect to licensing and either revoking or the grant of the license.
Great.
The board has that power when it deems that you have breached any of the conditions that they have given. And the board gives certain specifications to casinos to do. One is to display your license at all times. The other is when you are not giving such a license to even use the name casino in your body or any other place on it. The other has to respect to breaches of the Gaming Act itself, not just operating a casino, but the whole of the act itself. In such instances, or failing to maintain the minimal capital requirements, that's actually a very important one to them.
It's actually a prerequisite.
Okay, the board too, apart from that, are supposed to receive complaints from members of the public who have had issues with casinos and even other games of chance. Yeah. So in that regard, the board is supposed to investigate these complaints
Board
and come
plays
out of
Big Daddy for all casinos.
I think I remember there used to be a game of chance entity, Safari Bet. Somebody won a bet and they refused to pay, something like that. It ended up to the extent that the Gaming Commission had to revoke their license. So they received a complaint and they investigated
no longer
the complaint.
business?
Yes.
Yes.
They're no
longer in business. Apart from that too, the board will determine not just the minimum stated capital you have to have, but also the minimum capital at all times that should be available so that you would be able to pay your liabilities.
Yes.
So if you fail to pay your liabilities, they can now go for this money and use it. But if you don't
some
have
kind of
it,
security.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have a wide range of powers.
Oh, then it must be really expensive to run a casino because just too many restrictions.
Well, because you're dealing with money, for lack of a better, in the simpler sense, it's people are putting in money with the expectation of winning
Getting back
more money.
So here, the raw material is money.
The raw material is money.
And then you get money back as dividends.
Yes. So in addition to these powers of the board has the other added power to even change the requirements to be met by people who want to operate casinos and even the expunged persons. So the fact that the Act has listed these people now does not mean that the board cannot in future, given the basis of the circumstances and in the interest of the country, add to the list and maybe add
with innovations.
With the new innovations in the gaming industry and how people are able to, in other jurisdictions, you hear of people reading cards and all, maybe add some people to the expunged list. In other jurisdictions, like in America like this, there are a list of persons banned from entering casinos.
Why, for overwinning?
Well, they were cheating. And so they've been banned from entering such establishments. So they can have something like that in the future.
But have we looked at the reason why certain members of the workforce will be limited or even barred from being part of a membership of a club? I believe it is to quell the situation.
At freedom of association already.
Is to quell the situation where these members find themselves in sensitive aspects of society, such that if, for instance, they turn out to be gaming addicts, they might now start making deals, taking bribes that might put the safety of the state at risk. I believe that's the spirit behind why some of these persons have been limited in their membership of casinos.
I wholly agree with that because with certain amounts of, and that's why it's important to know that there was no rank in giving in the limitations.
For all those
because everybody in such an institution is privy to some amount of information. Where there's the opportunity to use your gambling addiction or gambling habits to use it to influence whatever decision you are making, either judicial or in the military or even in the security forces, there's that opportunity to use your gambling habits against you and against the interests of the country. So it's very important.
I don't know why this restriction is applicable to just casinos. Now let's look at the lotteries. I know we're not discussing lotteries today. Are there similar restrictions of certain officials?
In terms of winnings, yes. and who can participate in certain lotteries. So you will normally notice that the Lotteries Act would state that certain people should not partake
in it as well. I say
exactly.
this to widen the scope, because we are discussing all these are games of chance.
Yeah.
And it's all about money. And like I said, the raw material is money. Before you can engage in any kind of form of gambling, you put in money with the hope that you get more. You're fishing for money. Perhaps that is the main thing, because it can easily be, you're not adding any additional labor to it in a way that is controlled. You sit at one side, you just put in money, you engage certain equipment or mark on certain papers, and you hope for the best. The fear is you could use state property to gamble.
To gamble.
And there's just a rat hole, right?
Yeah.
That can be bottomless. So in order to avoid that and issues of corruption,
Yes.
I mean, you could be paid with little cards and what are those things? Chips.
Yes.
And nobody can trace that to your bank account.
Yes.
I mean, somebody wants to corrupt somebody in a judicial role, just give him chips. He will use that and then redeem that in the
you can cash it
casino.
in several years after.
And nobody will follow, and nobody can trace those ones.
Yeah.
I think these are all to safeguard the integrity of these institutions, considering how crucial they are to the running of the state.
Yeah.
Can we look at the offenses? Because you already touched on the restriction as in respect of who can put the marking casino in their building.
Yes.
What about the offenses in relation to casinos?
Okay, so in relation to the offenses, a person is not allowed to operate a casino without being licensed by the commission or the board of the commission.
Yes.
Which means that if you have not gone through the application process, if you have not sought the necessary regulatory approvals, you cannot run a casino in Ghana. This means meeting the minimum capital that will be approved by the board, maintaining a certain minimum amount in your account and all that. So if you've not gone through all these stringent steps for even the directors and other officers of the company to be ascertained and determined by the commission, then you cannot run any form of casino in Ghana.
Okay.
Another offense you're looking at is your membership. The Act is very particular on protecting children from falling into addiction. So it's very specific that the moment you are allowing a child into your casino as a member to partake and use in it, you are liable for an offense, and you are on conviction, you would pay a penalty.
Yeah.
Or your directors will do loosely jail time.
Yeah.
Or both. So it's not an either or circumstance. It is either or and. So it's not disjunctive, it's conjunctive. So that is another offense. Another is failing to display your license.
Yeah.
Once you are, as you said, you need a license to operate in the first place. Once you have gotten the license, you must display it for anybody who comes to do an inspection at any time to know that you are licensed and you're not operating.
They shouldn't be stressed. And even people, the patrons, when you come into the space, that license gives you the assurance that they are regulated, and such that if you win anything, you are sure that should they fail, you know who to go to.
Yes.
But if they are not licensed and there's a roundup to pick everybody up, even the patrons, you go as well.
You go do, because you'd have been a participant in a crime.
Exactly. So the idea is let's display it so that the workers are comfortable, the patrons and club members are comfortable, and when the authorities come by, they see that indeed we are properly regulated. It's time to go for a quick break. When we come back, we continue with the offenses.
Okay.
This is Law Express. Don't go away.
Closely linked to the display of the license, the law also talks about the fact that there should also be a display about the games of chances the casino is allowed to run, and even the minimum odds and everything on that particular game. So that when I enter for a casino, I know that the casino is licensed to, let's say, play a game like blackjack, roulette, keno,
Okay.
Lucky ladies, a host of them.
Wow, lucky ladies.
Yes, lucky ladies.
Interesting.
Yes.
Do you have an idea how that works?
I don't have an idea how that works. So the spirit behind the law here is that patrons should be able to know the sort of games the casino can run so that they would link themselves accordingly. Another one is that the casino should not do anything that will go against the terms and conditions upon which the license itself was granted.
Yeah.
Because the board has a lot of discretion, particularly on the minimum capital, the amount you should have in your bank account, and even the membership of your directors, such that the license based on specific casinos might differ in terms of the requirements on it for each of them. So in this regard, if you breach any of the conditions based on which the board gave it to you, then it is an offense.
I'm trying to figure out how this will work in terms of the display of the games that you have on offer. Is it the rules or just the type of game? And
It's the type of game. So you would see maybe an electronic screen which shows what this game center can do.
Yes.
You can play blackjack here. When you go this way, you can play roulette here. There's poker here. So you have an idea of what you are coming to play. Or I have slot machines. There's an idea of what you're coming to play when I enter that casino. The moment I see a game which is not listed on this or not displayed being played in it, then I should be worried. Because
who are those playing that game?
Who are those playing that
How
game?
did they know
How
they
did
could
they
play that game?
And then what liability or what risk is this casino putting me in? Because should a police officer above the role of inspector come and inspect the casino right now, I also fall part of one of the people who are participating in this crime. I mean, an establishment that is perpetuating a crime.
Yeah.
So yes, I may have a defense later on, but at that moment in time,
you'll be hot for a bit.
And ignorance of the law is no
Not an excuse. Yeah.
So once you are there, this display is one of the things you should look out for. Once you don't see or once you see any suspicious activity, you are to leave the casino. And under the Act, you are supposed to report them to the Gaming Commission for proper sanction.
Playing underhand games, huh?
And closely linked to what you were saying about the terms of your license, it's explicit in the Act that a casino cannot transfer its license to another person. This goes all the way down to ownership and directorship because there are different terms that come with what I can do. My license should allow me to do A, B, C, and D. If the third party I'm transferring it to has maybe a bigger scope, that license is improper for him.
Yeah.
So the moment I even attempt to do that, myself as a director or as an owner or controller of such a casino, I've also committed a separate crime for which I am liable to either a term of 2 years in prison or the payment of a fine.
The few times I've driven past casinos, you find all these bulky men with the muscles flexing them, sunglasses at the doors. And I always wondered, who is robbing a casino? Why do you have to have this kind of security? Why are there bouncers in front of casinos? But I see that the law, in response to that, talks about obstruction of a person lawfully authorized to inspect a casino.
Yes.
Talked about an officer above the rank of from an inspector and above
yes.
who can go in there to inspect. But it means that the law anticipated that these macho guys could obstruct, or anybody else could obstruct people from coming in to inspect a casino. And that is why it had to be put in there in black and white.
Yes. And also, in support of what you are saying, the inspection is also very critical because, as we've been discussing, there's the issue of membership, the sort of persons who can go join the casino and be part of the members. Then there's the issue of protecting the public safety in terms of patrons who would go in, spend their money, and when they made winnings, they cannot even be paid. So the board is allowed to go in through its officers to inspect the books and accounts of these entities and always make sure that at every point in time there's compliance to protect the public purse when it comes to patrons going in.
Yeah.
But there's another thing. You earlier on talked about the offense in respect of admitting people not eligible for membership.
Yes.
Now, we make it look like only those people be breaking the law in terms of their terms of engagement by virtue of whatever role they hold, for which reason they are not allowed in. But the people who actually run the casino have also violated the law and could be punished by a term of imprisonment. Like, I'm sitting in my corner, how do I know this guy is a military officer?
So that's why you should keep very up-to-date records. Your membership should be known at all times.
Does it now suggest that they then do not admit guests? Such that before you can actually patronize a space, you should be a member.
You should
it's being run as a club.
Yes, if it's being run as a club, then of course it's members only. And so as a member, what are you doing? Who are you? If you're a first timer,
just to gamble, you need to harvest all your back data.
Yes, have some ID on you. We should be able to trace and locate you, because my license is at risk and my liberty. Because the moment you come in, you partake in my games, when you are within this expunged list of persons, and an inspector comes or a police officer comes, and you are questioned, I'm liable. The casino in itself is a natural person as defined by law.
So on its own in trouble.
On its own. But the people who suffer the imprisonment are the directors. So then you become liable for somebody's folly. Somebody at the entrance did not do their
his due diligence.
Do his checks.
I want to believe that for purposes of guests, you can only probably have access if you're brought in by a fully paid member. Who is taking the risk and saying that I'm responsible for this person, and I can confirm and attest to the fact that he or she is above 18 and doesn't belong to any of the other categories of exempted people. We sampled people's opinion on today's discussion. Let's take a listen to see what they think about casinos.
Okay, so we're now here talking about casino, and I haven't been to a casino before, but like what I know about casino is so great. Man, you just gotta invest a little, and you're gonna get like much money. And what I know is they got hot ladies too. Y'all feel me? So man, I urge everybody, like, you just go play some casino. You feel me?
I haven't been to a casino before, but all what I can say about casino is that Takum go there for gambling, and then there are a lot of ladies too.
I haven't been to the casino before, but I've heard a lot about the casino, you understand? And then I've noticed that, Charlie, they say there are some strippers around, and even though the dada bar menace will be coming around and then they'll be throwing the money on the floor. For me, there, if I go to the casino, what I want is the money they'll be throwing around, so that I'll just be picking, and then I'll just get out of there. That's the main reason why I want to go to the casino.
So when the public opinion were sampled, a member of the public said that he's urging everybody to go to a casino. But as we've just discussed now, even though a casino...
advertising for casinos.
Yes. Even though membership is open to all, there are restrictions. One, if the person is a child below 18 years, he cannot be part of the membership of a casino. Now, if the person is also part of the armed forces, the person cannot be part of the membership of a casino. So another one is where the person is a judicial officer or is acting in a judicial role. So now the casino requires that the person is a part of a club that allows him to go inside and participate. Maybe the member of the public was talking about visiting, but even that one, I believe that he has to be led by a member before who would be able to vouch.
There and start picking money like that guy said.
Who would be able to vouch for the qualifications of the person before the person be allowed to enter. So that's a bit I got from it.
I think we are a very Hollywood-influenced generation, because seeing hot ladies and picking money is scenery out of a movie. But I think the general perception from what we heard is that people are not necessarily against the operation of casinos. They've accepted it as what it is, a game of chance, where You put in money and you make money. Once it involves money and it's regulated, it's still within their means to go there once in a while. It becomes a matter of choice. And with what we've discussed on what the casino should have before you begin, I think people will be more incentivized that it is not all glam. It's a very regulated industry and
it's serious business.
Very serious business, and it has rules and liabilities and criminal consequences or repercussions when you're at the wrong place at the wrong time. But I'm glad people appreciate that the establishments are not going anywhere, and maybe to take away some of the stigma associated with operating casinos.
I would say that from the Vox Pop, what I saw was people have this perception.
Very Hollywood-like perception.
And some have admitted that they've never been to a casino, so you can clearly see the look. This is from movies. So they assume that, they also forget that there are jurisdictional matters to this thing. Yeah. What you see is American casinos. Or from other jurisdictions, you haven't visited a Ghanaian jurisdiction.
You think if my slot machine hits 777, I'm telling anybody. No proposal.
So we have some questions also coming through by way of social media. Let's attempt to answer them, knowing that we don't have the opportunity to ask follow-ups. Yeah. And it's just a few lines. So we have to fill in the blanks and try to figure out what they really want from us.
Okay.
Are casinos required to exhibit their registration documents on their walls? How do I know if a casino is legal?
So yes, by law, casinos are mandated to display all their requisite licenses at a place which can be seen. So it's supposed to be a very visible place.
Not in some corner.
Not in some corner hidden, but a very visible place within the establishment. So normally you see it at the entrance or sometimes close to the tables. So it will display their license. If there's a reception. If there's a reception, it will display their license, the games they can play, the company incorporation documents. If they are serving food, a food hygiene permit from the FDA. If they are
the fire safety certificate,
the business operating certificate from the municipal or district assembly in which they find themselves in. So when you enter a casino, look out for these licenses
and tax liabilities.
They are registered tax. So you look out for all of these licenses at the beginning of your voyage into the casino, so you are not caught liable.
Mm-hmm. And also to add up to it, apart from just displaying even the games they are licensed to play there, they are also even supposed to display the maximum percentage of odds on these individual games. So the maximum percentage of commission to be deducted in case you win, and then the odds on each game.
So you know exactly how much you earn. It's not now that you win, then they start saying it's 50%.
Yes.
Okay.
Are casinos required to refuse entry to some people based on their categorization?
Yes, casinos are allowed to refuse entry to some people based on certain categorizations. Children, in the first place, we know that children cannot even be part of the membership of a casino club. The law also says that children are even prohibited from even entering these spaces. We also know that...
So that's people under 18 years?
Yes, people under 18 years. We also know that persons of the armed forces cannot also be part of the membership club of a casino.
Yeah.
Also, members of the public services, including the services that have a regional administration approach, like the regional coordinating councils, and also persons working for district assemblies, cannot be part of the membership of a casino. Then the other category is those in the judiciary or persons serving a judicial capacity. These categories of persons,
I like how he patiently recaps it every time it comes up,
of members of a casino.
He's a great teacher.
But then I would also say that the board at certain points in time may even add up to these persons.
Okay, but let's look at it this way. So this is express. The law is express as to these people.
Yes.
Okay, they cannot be admitted. They can be members.
Yes.
Earlier in the discussion, Kobe mentioned the fact that If you cheat in there, you may be banned from coming in. What about you being an adult? You don't, go against any of these, or you don't belong to any of the exempted groups. And does a casino reserve the right to say, we will not admit you into our club as a member without any prior violation, without being an exempted person?
So generally, these are the ones required by law. However, casinos as organizations will also be able to limit the kind of people, the number of people they want as members.
Okay.
Once it does, and we are going into the freedom of association bit here, once it does not infringe on your fundamental human rights and liberties, they also have that right to want a certain caliber of persons as members within their society.
Walking on a very fine
tight rope.
I am. I don't know if I should hold my breath because already I'm thinking of a wraith.
Once it's not, you see, once it's very tight because you are one step from being discriminatory and one step from trying to look for a certain exclusivity or clientele.
In the spirit of it being a club.
In the spirit of being a club or being an organization, because you know your right ends where another one's begins. So in as much as you have the right to want to
So can
join,
you say that though the law doesn't prescribe it, if you do not earn more than a particular amount of money, you're not allowed to be a member of this club?
we already clubs like that, which are not casinos in the country.
Or what you say is, if you can afford a minimum of this amount in games at a time, don't come. So indirectly, you've achieved the same aim without having to expressly say.
Some might even say
you must
all
be
male or female club.
Okay.
Boys
Gender.
club.
Until somebody thinks they identify as something.
Yeah.
Well.
Very well.
And in all this, whilst we are still doing who can enter, the focus has always been on the casino or the club restricting you. I'm very particular about that when it comes to children, because children forget that though they are a protected class, they also have some criminal liability. So if you were a child under the act and you go to such an
fake ID,
you go to such an establishment, when you are found and you are convicted, you could do a custodial sentence, not in the main prison, and you also pay a fine, or both.
Your parents are going to suffer for this.
So it's not absolute to say that children are not exempted, and so as a child you think, oh, the onus is on them to make sure I don't enter. Once you enter, through whichever means, and you are caught, you are also liable.
Can a person be banned from a casino for winning too much?
The law is quiet on winning too much. There is a section on cheating. You can be banned from entering such an establishment when you are found to have cheated.
You've won so much that you've made the institution uncomfortable. They believe that the only way you could be winning to that level or magnitude could only be by cheating.
So
without more.
If they feel that you are cheating, they are supposed to petition the board with your gaming history and give you the opportunity to also come and give a defense. And then the commission will make a defense.
It's a game of chance.
A game of chance.
You
so
just are a lucky person.
He who averts must prove. So you must be able to prove to the commission that this person, every time he comes,
prove you are cheating.
Yeah. Yes,
seriously,
they have to prove to the commission that this person, every time he cheats, so he wins so much.
So if the commission is not, the board is not convinced, and they are like, leave the person, admit him.
You have to admit the person.
They will have to find another reason to stop you from coming.
Then make your games harder. But generally, you cannot be banned from a place for winning too much. Maybe it's your lucky day, or you have a lot of lucky days.
Come on. Yes. Every day is a lucky day for you.
So what about the days you lose? They don't ban you then.
I mean, that's if you ever lose. What if your losses are such that you never lose as much as you ever bring there?
Some people lose heavy on some days and recoup it. So
those who have lost, you just cover up for you?
Yeah, yes. Casinos are here to stay, but casinos are not what we think they are. They are highly regulated by the Gaming Commission, and they are very specific in who they can allow to be members of a casino. Every time you enter a casino, please be on the lookout for the license of the casino and the number of games it's legally allowed to play, to avoid all future liabilities, both for you as the person in the casino and for the casino as a whole. Thank you.
If you like to
Thank
take
you,
chances, if you like to take chances and you want to play in that space, the law allows you to do that. But you need to be safe and you need to be willing to abide by the rules so you don't commit any offenses. First of all, you need to be sure that you do not belong to any exempt group, so you can be a member. And when you become a member, look out for your own safety. Is the institution licensed? And even if it's licensed, have they renewed their licenses? Because for all you know, what is on display is a license from the year before and not the new calendar or a current license. So you need to make sure you check all those things so that even your winnings can be guaranteed or protected. This has been our discussion on casinos. I was joined by two lawyers, Kwabena Frimpong Mensah, thank you for coming, and Kofi Owusu Ampel. My name is Noella Seju. This has been our show. Till next time, goodbye.